Good morning, everyone. This is the Package Groups weekly sync for December 9th, 2019. And I believe, Nathan, you have the first item.
I do. So I made a decision last week to continue down the technical track instead of the management track. So there's, if you're familiar, GitLab has kind of two parallel tracks that you can go on. So I've been doing this management side as an interim, just kind of as a test, and I decided I actually really love coding, so I'm going to stick with the technical track for a while. So that the main impact is to Nick and Nico. That you guys will, I think you'll probably report back to John in the interim, or maybe to Dan. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll chat more about that. But yeah, so I'm excited to go back to. I'll be going back to the release team, and then hopefully working up the technical track. So it's been great being on this team and kind of familiarizing myself with how you work. So I'm hoping to bring some of the Kanban type stuff back to the release team, which will be cool.
Well, it's been really cool having you. And I think my first reaction to hearing this was kind of sad because I really like working with Nathan. But you know, on subsequent thought, it's like, it's really cool that you get the opportunity at GitLab to do that if you're interested in management track, to be like, maybe I'll try it. And then you get a chance to just try it and go, yeah, nah, or actually, yeah, this is cool. So yeah, thank you very much, Nathan. And anything that we can do to help that transition, I'm obviously happy to help. And Nick and Nico, if you have thoughts on preference on how that should all work, happy to hear it at some point. I'm not trying to put you on the spot right now. All right. I think I'll move on to the next item unless anyone else has comments. Nope. Okay, then. Just a sort of a bit of a rhetorical question. Just to ask the team generally if there's anything we can do to be automating our coding rather than writing everything. One of the teams actually automated a process that writes MRs for security considerations, and like got put in 500 MRs in 1 month because of that. And that'll drop off because it was catching up on something. But it's just an interesting idea. If people have ideas in that area, I'll just put that in there to maybe seed some thoughts from people. And then one of the other things is code climate is a good way to pick up small issues. If people have a couple of like a spare hour or so, if there's not something already in the priority list, which there is right now. So that's something that I was chatting with Christopher about, and I had a conversation with somebody else on the team, but I'm not exactly remembering who that is. But yeah, interesting idea there. Haley, do you want to verbalize that, or are you happy to just leave it as a comment?
I'll verbalize. Yeah, so Golang CI lint has a flag. I think it's just -- fix that will fix certain issues that are very, very simple. And Go format S, the S stands for simple, will change some formatting things. I think I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it'll make some small changes to the actual code that are not white space. So that's something we could do for Go projects. I'm not sure with the container registry how much drift that's going to cause in terms of it being a fork, in terms of rebaseability, but that's a possibility.
Cool, thank you for that. I realized that my 0.5 is actually quite related to 0.3. So just some velocity ideas there. That includes the that type of concept of code climate cleanups and stuff like that. So I'll mention that here, and then I'll go to Gigi's item, which is kind of related as well. Yeah, I think, yeah, this probably should all be sub-items. Anyway, yeah, quick and easy MR to make is code quality. Watch out for degrading code quality, and you can also browse the existing report as you're actually writing code. And just being able to go up there and go, oh, there's a little thing I can fix and put in a one-liner to make it better, that type of thing. Next item is a proposed handbook page to a proposed change to our handbook page. The Teams page, I put the MR up there for people to take a look at. There were some questions last week about our Think Big meeting, and it seemed like there was a couple of things we didn't describe. So I went into the Think Big description to sort of make a couple of adjustments. If people feel like I've misrepresented anything, just please go fix, like add a change to it or whatever. It's not supposed to be directive from on high. I'm trying to describe what we're doing in a way that's actually useful to people. So I'd appreciate some help on that. And then the next thing was I raised an item in our team board around discussion. And it's an idea that I've been sort of playing with my head of, if we're going to use our synchronous time to discuss something, we should have an action item out of it. And this is consistent with GitLab's guidelines in the handbook, which is to say that, action items should be issues type thing. Just an idea. Like I said, would appreciate people's contributions and thoughts. It would be awesome. And over to David, unless anyone has comments on all of that long list of things I added last week.
I have a comment about splitting code. So to improve velocity, like splitting code in ManyMR. I noticed that if we try to split MR, like make them small for the sake of review, not actually for the sake of like bounding a feature, it's easier both for the engineer and for the maintainer to lose context, in the meaning that what was approved is good, because you always need to make sure, like you're always on the basis that what was approved is good. Now you're looking at another tiny piece and it looks good in its bubble, but then when you put it back together, maybe there is no error in the code, but if they were one single package, you would have spotted some problem. And I see this happening, and I just a warning. It's good to split, but as everything, overdoing actually, it becomes counterproductive, even on quality, not just on speed.
Yeah, that's good, Nico. Thanks for that. I think probably some people would agree with you on over splitting or splitting in the wrong direction can be problematic. So thanks for sharing. Any other comments there before David?
Okay, so I propose a change to a handbook page to add a section about community contributions, and actually it's about how we should handle them. And well, I guess for me the most important points is that we should feel that we have the right to suggest a merge request split if the merge request is too big or too complex, and we know that it's going to take a lot of time. We can feel empowered to suggest a split, or even extract some parts that are more prioritized over other parts, and they should be deployed as soon as possible. So we should be able to do that. Thanks to everyone that added some feedback on this merge request.
Nice. Thanks for doing that, David. That's awesome. Yeah, I would say failing any new feedback, would probably want to merge it pretty soon. Nice job. Thank you. I could totally agree with this sentiment, by the way, that a community contributor is not always going to know that we have certain part of what they're working on is a higher priority than the other part. So it's useful to be able to help people in that way. So thank you for calling that out. Over to Ian, I think, question mark.
Yeah, so we have user interviews coming up at the end of this week, Wednesday through Friday. They are all selfishly in my time zone, so I apologize, but I wanted to open an invitation. If anyone's interested, I can add you as optional onto the meeting invites as they start coming in if you want to watch and participate in some user research. just let me know. Over to Nico.
Yeah, so last week I added yet another feature flag in the software, and I realized that I lost track of how many I have and keep them on and off. And since actually the engineer is the responsible person for keeping them on and off also on all our environments, I opened an issue in our group with a table saying this is the feature flag, this is MR that adds it, this is when I added, and hopefully the column where we're going to remove it. And since David asked me, can I edit? Yes, please, everybody, feel free to edit and add yours so we can also have an overview all together when they're, which and where they are. That's it. I think I was the last one.
So, maybe it's easier to talk about. The thing I was asking was, it's sort of interesting because you have one of those feature flags based on an MR that's merged in a milestone that's passed with no future milestone. And so I guess when I look at that table, I'm going, okay, well then when are we going to take that away? Because it looks like there's no reason it can't be merged just from that limited table. So what I was thinking it might only be helpful to me was a way to sort of look at it and say, okay, well, what does this depend? What is this waiting on? Is it just the prioritizing the feature flag? Is it feature flag removal? Is it waiting on some other dependent code changes that we need to make? And maybe that's stuff that comes up in like when we're talking about walking through the milestone or the work we have coming up. Maybe there's a different conversation that needs to happen, but that's why I was asking the question about that table, Nico.
Yeah, I spent some time thinking of it, and just those three, they have like all three different circumstances. So I was thinking to open an open text column that says like what needs to be done, and in their type. For example, the first will be solve our issue with the container registry, and so the performance issue goes away, or this MR link of the MR is going to unlock this. Because they kind of all have different circumstances, and maybe an MR to remove the feature flag might not even exist yet. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that. I think I'm wondering, I guess what I'm wondering is from here, I mean, for, me thinking about process and everything, I'm interested in that. But I guess what's important here as well is that we're all talking about what needs to be done to remove feature flags at some point. So maybe it makes sense to have this be somewhere that isn't just in our team board. Maybe this is something that could be more broadly available. What do you think, Tim? Do you feel like this type of thing would be helpful to be sort of, hey, here's the feature flags and here where they're going to get removed and what the dependencies are?
I think that would be helpful. And if it's helpful for us, it might be helpful for other people too.
Yeah, I like this idea though, Nico. This is awesome. Thank you for doing this. It's cool. Maybe we could look at this and sort of try and see what format we like. We'll iterate on the format pretty quickly and then actually make it something that's a little bit more available, whether that's in a milestone or not. Yeah, it's a cool idea. I like it. Okay. If no one else has any other items they'd like to discuss, I'm going to stop recording and we can hang out for a minute. I'll leave a little bit of a pause here to give people an opportunity. Okay, that's pretty awkward. Good job. Thanks, everybody. And hope everyone has a great rest of their day, whatever that looks like. And see you next time.